So, my brothers and sisters, good evening. There are people who overcome obstacles. They are great because they overcome obstacles. Overcome obstacles in getting closer to the Lord. And this is even greater. They are greater. But there are also people who do not overcome obstacles. So we pity them, and in pitying them, I hope we help them. So these two kinds of people that we mentioned is what we see in the readings for this 19th Sunday in Ordinary Time. The second reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians gives us the example of those who did not overcome the obstacles in their advancing towards the Lord. And who were these? They were the Israelites. The kindred of St. Paul, according to the flesh. They are his own people. That's why he had a great sorrow and anguish in his heart because of this situation of his kindred people. Because according to him, theirs is the adoption. God adopted them as his children, in fact, chosen people of God. There's the glory. God made so many glorious things for them, like the freeing them from the slavery of Egypt, the glory of having King David, who won many battles against their enemies. And of course, we have King Solomon, the wise king. They have the covenants. God made so many covenants with them. They have the giving of the law. God gave the law to whom? To Moses. They have the worship, they have the promises, but God has so many promises to them. And of course, those promises were fulfilled. Theirs is the patriarch. So theirs is Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, etc., etc. And above all, from them, according to the flesh, came the Christ, the Messiah. And in fact, here, St. Paul gave us a very clear testimony that the Christ is God. He said, God blessed forever. So these were supposed to be their stepping stones. These privileges that they had could have been their stepping stones in getting closer to the Lord. But ironically and tragically, they became their obstacles. So these privileges that they had became their obstacle because they did not believe in Christ as the Messiah and Lord. Because of their privileges, they became proud and were not willing to accept Christ as the Messiah. So here we see that this belief is key to creating obstacles in our getting closer to the Lord. Nasa kanila na ang Messiah, hindi pa naging patuloy. They were closest to God, but their being close to God because of those privileges became obstacles in their getting closer and closer to the Lord. The two other readings give us the example of those who overcame the obstacles in their getting closer to the Lord. And the first reading from the first book of Kings, it gives us the example of Elijah. Elijah took shelter in a cave, but he was asked to come out and stand on top of the mountain because the Lord was passing by. He will be meeting the Lord. So he stood up on top of the mountain, but what came first was the heavy and strong wind. But the Lord was not in the wind. Then came the earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And then there was fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. So he must have been thinking that he was supposed to meet the Lord. But bakit ito yung mga nangyayari? Strong and heavy wind, earthquake, fire. Good thing that Elijah persevered, because ultimately came a tiny whispering sound. And in that tiny whispering sound, the Lord was there. So perseverance is a key to overcoming obstacle in getting closer to the Lord. Then, mais to see Elijah, he could not have met the Lord. And he met him in a tiny whispering sound. The gospel gives us the example of Peter, Apostle Peter, as another who overcame obstacle in getting closer to the Lord. Peter already got out of the boat and was already walking on the sea. But when he saw how strong the wind was, he became frightened and began to sink. Good thing he cried out, "Lord, save me." And of course, the Lord stretched out his hand and caught Peter, and he said to him, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" So even if Apostle Peter doubted, but there still remained a little faith. And this little faith was the key for him in overcoming the obstacle in his coming close to the Lord. That's why in the end, both of them got into the boat. Peter was together with the Lord. So let us remember these two things. First, this belief is the key to creating obstacle in getting closer to the Lord. But even little faith and perseverance are keys to overcoming obstacle in advancing to the Lord. Maybe these two principles we can apply in this time of pandemic. This belief, parang hindi tayo naniniwala doon sa mga health protocol na yan, wala tayong pakialam. That is also, we can consider the key to creating obstacles in our fight against this COVID-19. However, with little faith, kahit may konti tayong paniniwala at pagtsatsaga sa pagsagawa ng mga health protocols, alam naman niyo yung mga health protocols. Ano ba yun? Ano ba yung mga health protocols? Washing of hands, social distancing, wearing of mask. Ako ngayon wala akong mask. Kasi wala nang mga tao dito. That's why yung sound natin ay hindi daw klaro. But especially in situation that we really need to do this, we gotta strive to do them. And they are the keys to our overcoming the obstacle in our fight against COVID-19. So if we do that, we are happy, or we are sure that we can finally win over this pandemic and we can heal as one nation.